Hey there, YouTubers. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm getting ready to record the podcast of Spiritual Almanac for Thursday, January 14th. Feeling pretty good today. It's pretty decent out, and all's well in the world. Excited about the podcast for today. We're going to be taking a look at a controversial poet and writer, Lewis Carroll. But we're taking a look at one of his more famous poems, Jabberwocky. It's kind of known as a nonsense poem, right? Probably the most famous one. But there's also the spiritual element to it, because when you really look at what's going on in that poem, there's this struggle between good and evil, right? It's like the classic spiritual conflict. So that's in there, and I hope you enjoy that. We're also going to be talking about an event from 1967 called the Human Be-In. It was a gathering of the counterculture in San Francisco, and is really credited with kicking off the Summer of Love. So if you're a hippie, you're going to want to stick around for that in the second part of today's podcast. All right. Well, let's get into it and get started. Welcome to a Spiritual Almanac for Thursday, January 14th, 2021. Today marks the death of Charles Ludwig Dodgson, better known by his pen name Lewis Carroll, in 1898. He was born into a family of high church Anglicans, and his father was a clergyman. Dodgson didn't share his family's high church tendencies, but he was a committed Anglican and was himself ordained a deacon in the Church of England in 1861. On his religious views, Dodgson wrote, "I believe that when you and I come to lie down for the last time, if only we can keep firm hold of the great truths Christ taught us, our own utter worthlessness and his infinite worth, and that he's brought us back to God and made us his brethren and brethren to one another, we shall have all we need to guide us through the shadows." For work, Dodgson taught mathematics at Oxford. But as the writer Lewis Carroll, he's more controversial and complicated. He's mostly known for writing the children's books, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and the sequel, Through the Looking Glass. Although there's no evidence of inappropriate acts, his fondness for Alice Liddell, the inspiration for his Alice character, and other children have come under increased scrutiny by historians. Today we're looking at one of Carroll's poems that speaks to the universal struggle between good and evil. It's the famous nonsense poem titled Jabberwocky. "'Twas brillig in the slithy toves, did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome-raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch." He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood awhile in thought. And as in oofish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the togy wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. "And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, callooh callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome-raths outgrabe." Here are a few more spiritual nuggets for you today. Today also marks the death of Seraphim of Sarov in 1754. Born Prokur Moshnin in Kursk, Russia, he joined the Sarov monastery at the age of 19 and took the name Seraphim, which means fiery or burning. As Seraphim, he adopted the lifestyle of a hermit, living alone in a remote cabin near Sarov for 25 years. According to legend, he was assaulted by a gang of thieves who beat him and left him for dead. Afterward, he spent 1,000 straight nights on a rock, praying with his arms raised to the sky, which was deemed miraculous by the Eastern Orthodox Church given the lingering injuries he'd sustained during the beating. "Acquire a peaceful spirit," Seraphim is quoted as saying, "and around you thousands will be saved." Today, he's revered as one of Russia's most popular saints in both the Eastern Orthodox and Catholic churches. And on this day in 1967, San Francisco's Golden Gate Park was the site of the Human Be-In, an event that set the stage for the Summer of Love just a few months later. The Be-In was launched as a response to California's ban of the psychedelic drug LSD in October. It attracted more than 20,000 people and introduced the counterculture to the mainstream. Speakers at the event included LSD evangelist Timothy Leary and the beat poet Allen Ginsberg. Music was provided by local bands that included Jefferson Airplane, the Grateful Dead, and the Steve Miller Band. At the end of the Be-In, its organizer Michael Bowen asked one of the speakers, Ram Dass, "Isn't this far out? People are sure hungry for some communicating. They love it. It's a joyous moment." Dass replied, "It's a hell of a gathering. It's just being. Humans being together." And that's today's Spiritual Almanac. For more information on Dodgson's life and writing, check out The Mystery of Lewis Carroll by Jenny Wolfe. There's a link in the description. A Spiritual Almanac is a production of Granola Soul. You can find a text version of today's episode, Carroll's Jabberwocky, and other resources at our website, granolasoul.com. As always, thanks for listening. Be kind, take good care, and we'll see you soon.